Hey guys, Char5 here, and today we are probably doing my least favorite movie. Yeah. If you like The Shining, by all means, let my personal opinions on the film not hinder your enjoyment of it. I just vastly dislike... I think I dislike the film because of how overhyped it is. I remember... It was probably last year. I'm almost certain it was about last year. Around this time, actually, it might have been, when I told my sister, because my sister loves horror movies, and she wanted to watch one. And I suggested, hey, why don't we watch The Shining? I've heard amazing things about it. I've heard that it's like one of the best horror films of all time. Let's watch it. And she agreed, and she thought it was a good idea. Needless to say, I thought it was a great idea because I'd never seen it before, and I wanted to know what all the fuss was about. And we watched it, and it's not a scary film at all. It's not tense. Its pacing is awful. I know that a lot of people are very fond of Stanley Kubrick's work. Personally, I think it's the first time I've ever seen any of his movies. I've never seen Space Odyssey. I've never seen Clockwork Orange. I want to. I do eventually want to watch those films. Particularly 2001. I want to watch that one more than Clockwork Orange. Mostly because I feel like when it comes to A Clockwork Orange, the theming, I think, is mostly what puts me off about it. Funny story, I actually did a book report on Clockwork Orange without having read the book. All I did was read the information off of the internet, basically get a great summary about it, get the comparison between the movie and the novel, and had a conversation with my teacher about it on a very personal level. I explained to her like what I found interesting about it, even though I'd never read it. But anyway, that's not what the point. We're talking the Shining. Even though I wish we weren't. Okay, so enough bitching, even though I'm going to be doing a lot more bitching, but at least let me explain why. So a lot of people love, Stanley Kubrick, as I mentioned, was already established as a phenomenal director by this point. And I'm certain that by a lot of people, Stanley Kubrick can do no wrong. And I respect that. We all have our favorite directors, our favorite actors who, I feel like we just don't want to accept whenever it is that they do something wrong. And I've never read the novel. I've told my sister that, because she's way more of a reader than I am, that I think that she should read the novel, but she's really not shown any interest in it, especially after the really bad taste the movie left for us. But in terms of just... And it's funny, too, because I read explanations of critics as to, like, why they love this film so much, or, like, why the film is so good, and I still don't get it. Like, I feel like none of them give a really good reason as to why, like, the film is so good. They're just saying it's good, and that's it. Like, they're not giving a really... even an explanation at all as to why they consider the movie to be one of the best horror films of all time. If anything, it's probably more of a psychological thriller, and even so, I think it kind of does a terrible job at that. I remember reading that even Stephen King disliked the movie, and he brings up a lot of really, really good points, and I feel like a lot of critics actually discredited King for not liking an own adaptation of his own fucking book. Like, I don't know. It is something that irks me because I invested time trying to watch the movie, trying to get invested in its plot, trying to understand it, and I think that's where people end up loving the film, because of what's not told to us, because of everything that you as a Kubrick fan have to understand. You have to understand how the director views things. And to me, I feel like that's a really crappy thing to do, because I don't know. I feel like that's just a very personal thing. Because if we're talking, we have to see the film through the director's eyes, we'd love all terrible films, I think. And I feel like The Shining, not to say that it's a terrible film, but it's no exception to what I just said, in the sense that, okay, well, if I feel like a lot of people are looking for hidden explanations where there are none. Oh, Kubrick meant to symbolize this because whatever. And it's like, did he though? Because he incorporates so many elements from the novel, but none of them stick. Like, there are different points in the novel that are that's something else I read. Like I said, I've never read the novel, but I read that he incorporated so many different elements from the novel, but at the same time, they were iconic moments from the novel that need further explanation. Like, I think it's Jack Torrance who actually, like, walks by and sees, like, the mascots giving... I don't remember exactly what it is, but one dude's giving another dude a blowjob, and that's... people consider that one of the most iconic scenes in the book, and in the movie as well. But the thing is, the movie doesn't explain shit. Like, that is like a huge part of the book that's never explained in the movie. Yet they show it in the movie, and it's like, why? If you're not going to explain it, what's the point? I understood, like, from the moment I saw the party scene, I think I even said out loud to my sister, like, oh, he's dead, or something like that. And apparently, some sources say that that's what it is. Others say that, no, he's just going crazy. Others say that he's imagining it. It's like, I get it, right? Like, a good movie keeps you thinking in some cases, but at the same time, I feel like this movie doesn't know what it wants to do, and that's what bothers me. Like, it leaves you thinking, but there's an answer. In this case, it feels like there's no answer, and yet people still praise it for that. It's like, oh, it doesn't need to have an answer. Yeah, no, yeah, it kind of does, because the book did, and this didn't. So what the hell, right? And also, like, I love Jack Nicholson. I love Jack Nicholson as a lot of people often praise his performance and shit on Shelley Duvall and Daniel Lloyd, I think his name is, or I don't remember exactly what his name is, but the kid actor. Like, they often critique their performances or criticize them. In my mind, I didn't mind Shelley Duvall. I didn't mind any of the acting, but my thing was, I think they did a poor casting choice with Jack Nicholson, because already you see Jack Nicholson and what do you expect his character to be every time? A fucking creepy dude who, like, has temperamental issues, or, like, already you're going into this movie with the preconceived notion that, okay, Jack Nicholson is a crazy bastard. So the fact that that's the point of his character, he's an everyman that goes insane, you're messing it up from the get-go by casting someone who is typically already insane. And it's made worse when he's coming off the wings of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a movie where he literally plays a crazy person. Like, the casting was so bad. And also, like, again, I love Jack Nicholson. He's a fantastic actor. I love him. But not for this character. And Shelley Duvall, I didn't mind her acting at all, but oh my god, it wasn't until I started reading a lot of articles where I realized, man, she really is stupid. Her character Wendy is really fucking stupid. And a lot of people say that one of the reasons that the movie is so frightening to them is because it gives them a sense of claustrophobia because of the psychological terror that's going on. But they're in a fucking hotel. Are you telling me you have nowhere to run in this hotel? You knock out your husband who is fucking chasing you with an axe or a bat or whatever, and you fucking go to sleep in your room. Why don't you grab your kid and run? Like, what the Okay. Whew, I really get worked up about this film. I continue to not understand. And I look up articles that will explain to me why it's so scary. And a lot of people, I was surprised to see that a lot of people, there was a common theme that I saw. A lot of people said they watched the movie as a kid, and that's what made them afraid. Well, fuck me, right? Like, of course you're gonna be afraid if you're, I mean, I feel like that's just a common thing. Of course, if you see Jack Nicholson being Jack Nicholson, you're gonna be afraid. Like, that's no shit, right? I feel. And I mean, if you grow up and you still like the movie as a horror film, I mean, more power to you, but I don't see it. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I don't see it. The movie was nominated for 2 Razzies, for fuck's sake. For Worst Actress and Worst Director. Like, I feel... God damn it. My personal problem with it is I don't get why people consider it one of the best horror films of all time. Considering that even if it had hidden meanings, they're so fucking vague and so not knowing what they want to be that it bothers me that people love it purely based on their own interpretations of it. Mostly because what a movie is supposed to entertain and captivate you. And okay, maybe The Shining does that. Sure. But is the payoff worth it? No, I don't think it is. Like, it made me feel a little insulted. Again, mostly because it's considered a fantastic horror movie. I can accept it if you say it's a great thriller. Sure, it's one of the greatest thriller movies of all time. Okay, but if we're talking horror, there is nothing about this film that I personally think is scary, except the woman in the bathtub in room 237, which was fucking room 217 in the novel, by the way. Jesus, I haven't even talked about this piece. Okay, so one of the biggest icons, I guess, from the film are the Grady twins. I've done so much investigating of this movie today than I've ever done just to know what I'd be talking about, that before today, I didn't even know that the twins had names. I didn't know they were called anything, and I still don't... There's no significance to them other than the fact that they got killed by their father, who, like, owned the hotel or some shit, and the hotel is supposed to be a character, and it's not a character in the movie, as far as I can tell. And fuck me, they're the most iconic thing in the film, other than the "Here's Johnny" scene, which is an improvised line by fucking... It's an improvised line by Jack Nicholson, which stuck, and the character's name is Jack Torrance, but in the novel his name is John Torrance, so it would make sense that he says "Here's Johnny," but his name is fucking Jack! That... It doesn't feel scary. It feels like he doesn't know what the hell's going on. I get it. He's supposed to be going insane. That's the point. But he feels insane from the beginning. That's not scary. And these twins aren't scary. But they're probably the most iconic thing from the film to me, and I'm sorry that I've been bitching about it. I didn't think I was going to go into such a passionate complaining spree on this film. When I finished watching it, I felt utterly disappointed. Maybe I have to watch it again, even though I'm very not willing to. Who knows? Do you like this film? I guess as a final thing that I can talk about the piece, I really did have to cover up a lot of the shading with blood, because otherwise one of the twins would have looked awful without it, the one on the right. And I think it looks better with the blood. I tried to do the caricature thing again, and it's not as good as the Pennywise one, unfortunately, but, I still feel like I did a sort of good job when it came to the lighting, and mostly the clothes, I think, is what I like the most. The faces really could have been done better, but for what it is, I'm okay with it. Especially for something that I abhor completely. Maybe if I watch the miniseries that came out after it, I'd enjoy it more. Maybe I enjoyed that more. There was so much cut from the book and so many things about the book that were spliced into this film that it just ends up making no sense. I get it. Stanley Kubrick read the book. He loved it. He wanted to do something with it. But what he did sucks as horror. In terms of horror, it's a terrible film. In terms of a psychological thriller and something to be studied, I think there's some value there, but I also think people overanalyze this film because they want to like it because it's a Kubrick film. Hate to break it to you, it's not a scary movie at all. Anyway, tomorrow we'll be diving into something I think I like far more. Yes, we are. Three Stephen King novels in a row, and I think I still have another one to cover later on in the week. But tomorrow we'll be diving into I don't want to say because it'll give it away, but it's probably one of my it's a novel that I haven't read. I haven't read any of these novels, but I'm familiar with the medium, and it's probably one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. But you'll just have to see what it is tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry that I was probably screaming a lot. Thank you for putting up with my constant bitching about this movie, and stay safe and stay awesome. This is Char5, signing off.